Hey guys, welcome back to another objective review. I'm Nick and today we're going to be taking a look at a $500 budget PC build. So let's get right into it. Now I've seen a lot of YouTubers from India who have been making these budget $500 PC builds. They actually range from $350 to $500 and there's a recurring problem in all of those builds. These YouTubers go for the latest and greatest parts, the CPUs and motherboards and everything, and while that is great, you do lose out on performance because you have a fixed budget, you have a fixed ceiling, and because of that you get parts that are not as performant, not as power efficient, and so on. So what you end up getting is a compromised $500 budget build. Now we are going to be taking a look on how to actually get these builds done in $500 and get good performance out of it. So to begin with, let's start with how to get these parts that I'm talking about. Now we have a lot of marketplaces like OLX and Quicker, and we also have eBay, and then we have excellent forums like Tech Enclave and so many others that promote all these purchases and sales and this whole trade thing that goes on for used parts of PCs. And what you can do is simply go onto these websites and grab a good CPU, a motherboard, SMPS, RAM, SSDs, and whatever you need for your build. Now, why am I recommending this? Well, number one, when you buy it second hand, it's going to be cheaper for you guys, right? So your budget build is actually going to be within the budget and you will end up getting good performance out of it. So let's look at the parts that we are using for this build. So let's start off with the CPU. I managed to get a Intel i5-4690 Haswell refresh, which is clocked at 3.5 GHz and it turbo boosts up to 3.8. Now Haswell refresh chips are not the best for energy efficiency, but here we do a trade-off with performance for power consumption. The second bit, the motherboard. Now I wasn't able to find a good second-hand motherboard, so I had to go out and buy one, and it still ended up being within our budget. So I have the Asus H97 M-E, and this motherboard is not fancy at all. It doesn't have onboard Wi-Fi or Bluetooth and stuff like that. It's a very simple motherboard that does the job, and that is all we need in our budget build. Now the next bit is of course the RAM. Now for the RAM, I managed to get two Corsair Vengeance 16GB sticks, and these are beautiful. I managed to snag them in red, and I would have preferred black, so I would have had the entire thing in black, but that's completely fine. Get whatever you can. I got the red sticks, and these are clocked for 2133 MHz, although our motherboard will limit us to 1600 MHz. So that's cool, we get a slight performance downgrade, but that's perfectly fine. Now for storage, here's a catch. All we need is a 64GB SSD to boot our OS from, and then further on you can add storage like a terabyte storage of hard disk at 5400 RPM or 7200 RPM. That is completely up to you. The capacity is completely up to you, and I'll come to that bit in a moment. But you'll also see that I am adding a WD red 2TB and a WD black 2TB. Now these I'm going to be using this for my home center system, and I need the black for storing all the media, and I need the red, or rather purple actually, sorry, I need the purple for storing all the security camera footage onto. So these are not included in the budget, but this is what I'm also adding, and this is something you can also do. You can add more stuff in the future. Moving on, we have the case and the SMPS. For the case, I just picked up a old Corsair, or is it Coolermaster? I don't know. It's one of these cases. It looked good. It had a vinyl side panel which allows you to see through it. I don't care about it. I got it for really cheap, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. For the SMPS, I managed to get a new but second-hand Corsair VS550 SMPS 550 because I am having these extra two hard drives and a few more things to run, but you guys should be absolutely fine with a 450 watt SMPS. And now we are left with the CPU cooler. This is completely again up to you guys. I'm going to be air cooling this, and you can use the stock Intel cooler if you get it with your CPU. If not, what you can do is go ahead and find some good CPU coolers. I managed to get this Coolermaster one, and this is good because it has 6 copper pipes and it has a single fan, although you do have the option of buying an additional fan and putting it onto it to get a push-pull configuration. I'm going to be just fine with a single fan, and this cooler does a very good job. It looks neat and it's massive. So again, be mindful that whatever parts you buy actually fit inside the case you're also getting. All of these parts need to be compatible with each other. I cannot stress this enough. Buy compatible parts. Putting all of this together is going to be pretty straightforward. There are a lot of YouTube videos online and you can go through them and find out how to build this. I'm just going to be skipping over that process completely. Go ahead and check out these videos. There are some very good ones from Linus Tech Tips and Austin Evans and Paul's Hardware. Yes, these guys are the holy trinity of PC building. Although yes, there are a few other great YouTubers who do manage to put out good content, but these are the guys I religiously follow. Go check them out. So now let's go over all the part list and the pricing of what it comes to. First of all, we have the CPU, the Intel i5 4690. This is not the overclock version, so this is going to be definitely a little bit cheaper than the overclockable one. Next up, we have the motherboard, the Asus H97 M-E, followed up with the Coolermaster cooler, then the 2 sticks of 8GB DDR3 RAM, followed by the SMPS, the 64GB SSD, and the case. And we total out at 25,000 rupees. Now, if you do the math, $500 equates to 34,000 rupees when I was making this. So we do have an overhead of 9,000 rupees. Now, what can you do with these 9,000 rupees? You can add in a GPU, or if you don't already have a decent monitor and keyboard mouse setup, you could get a good monitor and keyboard mouse peripherals and whatever else you may need, a webcam or something like that, and go at it. If you're going to be using this build for your day-to-day work, browsing the web and watching YouTube videos like this one and hitting the like button when you like it. But if you want to be gaming and you already have a good monitor and a decent keyboard mouse setup, well, you could add a GPU. Now, what kind of GPU can you get? Well, you can get any of the 7 series GPUs from NVIDIA, or you can also get some AMD ones, or you could get, if you're lucky, you could get the GTX 960 secondhand, or even the 970 if someone is willing to sell it for you in 9K. So depending on what kind of deals you get, you could make an amazing gaming system that'll just work for you. And again, as always, do check the compatibility of your GPUs with the games and the resolution you're going to be playing on and all of that stuff, so be mindful of that. So this is the PC completely built and spec'd out. I'm going to be doing a separate video following up this one, which will have all the benchmarks and the final setup, wherein this PC will be sitting in my living room, and well, I'll get to you with all the numbers and how this build performs, and most importantly what I am planning to do with it, because this is going to be only connected to my network and used with my television set, and all the other time is just going to be dumping raw security camera footage from my security cameras onto the purple 2TB drive. Now, I am running macOS on this, so all these parts are macOS compatible, although because of the lack of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, you may want to get an additional card if you're planning to run macOS on this. The setup is pretty straightforward if you want to run macOS on this, but whatever else you may want to run, Windows or flavor of Linux, those will run completely fine. Well guys, that is it for this video. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you disliked it, just close the tab and move on. And if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.